Hello, Orville Nation. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Randy, Dee Myers, Rob, Time Prophet, Philip. Oh, everybody. Belinda, Kareem. Everybody who's in here, welcome. Welcome, Jeff Beeler. Everybody, Rapunzel. Welcome, everybody. Please share the stream. We're going to have a great show tonight. Don't forget to hit the like, guys, if you don't mind, because it helps. And welcome to everybody who's watching us now and watching us on the replay as well. We have a great show. Director Paul Day is back. Jeff TERAVAINEN is back. Wow. And of course, Joseph, Dega, and Nina. Let's bring in the gang and get started. And I want to welcome Nina. Welcome, Nina Infinity. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing good, PJ. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Mondays are awesome because of this show. And later on tonight, I'll also be on Toxic Femininity. So you can check me out on there. And I'm just dropping my good news highlights that I do every Friday. Good news. So check out my channel for there. And thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. Thank you, PJ. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Check out Toxic Femininity on Midnight's Edge. And we got a nice little gang there. You got that show's picking up a lot of momentum, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's always been pretty big, but now that I'm there, I mean.
Now that you're there. Yes, you are looking very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, young lady.
Thank you. I try.
Let's bring in Dr. Adega Outlaw, who is going for the Judd Nelson Breakfast Club look with his shades there. And welcome, Doctor. How are you?
Hey. I'm doing good, and yes, Nina's shows make everything sparkle, so it's good that she's here too. Yeah, doing good.
Awesome. I think we're still a ways off for any updates with Dega material, right?
No, like I said, if I had the ability to share, I would. But things are they're still moving along, going well. One thing I wanted to bring up, I was on a show. And I may end up where I'm on this frequently before this one. And it was about Babylon 5. And it keeps occurring to me. We have this show where we're talking about dark matter. You see other shows on YouTube where they're talking about whatever favorite sci-fi program was. And it tells me that people are starved for the good stuff. That we are here reminiscing on the brilliance of, well, we're going to have a director, we're going to have an actor, we're going to have the showrunner on today. How wonderful it is that these people create these things for us, and we long for it still. Like I said, I was on the Babylon 5 one, and we reminisce over how wonderful that show is, how wonderful Dark Matter is, Stargate, all of this. And it's just an honor to be here, to be able to discuss these wonderful things.
Absolutely, Adega. And let's not forget, I think everybody in the chat and everybody who's watching us on the replay, I think let's not forget what a special opportunity it is to just be running through this with Joe and with with like for example with Paul Day today and with Jeff, and just an amazing opportunity. On that note, let's bring in the Baron Destructo himself, the creator of this wonderful universe, Joseph MALLOZZI. Welcome, Joe.
Yay!
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Hi, Joe.
Hello. Hey, Nina.
How are you, Joe?
I am well.
What's new in the Joseph universe?
Developments on the development front, and who knows? Juggling various projects. We'll see. Which one, if any of them, see the light of day. But as I said, if something lands, you guys will be the first to know.
Yes.
Appreciate
We're rooting for you.
Greatly.
Thank you. And very excited about today's show because we have not one but two special guests. First up is editor and director extraordinaire, Mr. Paul Day.
Ooh.
And
welcome back.
Hello. Thank you for having me back.
Well, you did tonight's episode. How could we not have you back?
It is interesting. My kids are watching Dark Matter now.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Who's, your,
cool.
who's
I
your
think
favorite
they've-
character? Dare I ask?
I've not asked them, and you know what? They're almost embarrassed when I walk in the room and I'm like, "Well, you guys watch it." So they watch particularly my older son, because he's just devouring Netflix and Hulu and anything that he can get his hands on. So oddly enough, he was watching another series I worked on a long time ago, but didn't even know I worked on it. And so it goes to show how much he pays attention to the credits at the beginning. But he's like, "Have you ever heard of the 4400?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have. I worked on that show." "You did?"
Oh my goodness. That's awesome.
But thank you for having me today. This is fun. I love this
It's an
stuff.
honor to have you.
Great to have you. And also great to have, again, for our second visit here, the lovely and talented actor, voice actor, singer, rock musician, Jeff TERAVAINEN.
Yay!
And my neighbor.
Yeah. Apparently.
You should have been like AKA Martin Sloan.
Martin Sloan is in the house. My voice is always shot every time I do this.
Oh no.
I'm not really a voice guy.
Is there any truth to the rock musician?
I was, yeah. We had videos on Much Music and everything.
What?
Yeah, you just assume I make things up because I'm a writer?
Yeah.
I don't
I'll
really
never
remember
fall
him.
for your shenanigans again, Joe, after that pizza debacle.
What?
Never again.
It was a carefully resourced, search into the history of deep dish pizza.
Don't believe his lies, you guys. Don't believe it. I fell for it. Very embarrassed.
I think I missed that one.
Oh.
Now I have a craving for pizza, though.
Well, that's not pizza. That's my point. But in any case.
In any case.
So did anybody find this episode confusing?
Yes.
I didn't.
I didn't either. But at the same time, I really, really appreciate the edits, actually. Two notes.
Yeah.
One, at the very beginning, I loved how it starts kind of like in that first person view. And it kind of reminds you of a video game, because that's how usually video games start, Jeff. Like if you're kind of, you don't know what's going on. You're that character where your memory's been wiped, or like whatever's happened to you. And I love that kind of like video game element. And then the shots and the fade outs of the people coming in and out of his viewpoint was really, really cool. And the way that it was done, it just all seemed very video game like. And I really love that.
Yeah.
There's the scene, the original, his first person view.
Inside his head.
You were going to say, Joe, did any of us find it confusing? It was very intricate writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I always watch with my wife, Akemi, and there's confusing, and then there's surprising as well. And like you said, it's a fairly intricate script in the way kind of it develops, and there are little clues, of course, along the way that not all is as it seems. Yeah.
I think the only reason I didn't find it confusing, especially at the beginning, obviously this is my second watch through, but the reason I didn't is because I'm so familiar with the elements of them being like, in Star Trek or in other sci-fi where they're trapped in the holodeck, or they can't distinguish reality from fiction kind of thing. And so I was following it and I was picking up on those clues, but it was really, really well done in that sense that, it was taking me for a ride and I was appreciating every moment of it.
Good.
Joe, was it your idea originally to do those fade in and outs? Because I remember that stuck with me as well, the way you went between scenes and that.
It was the POV was scripted, but ultimately the transitions were in the hands of our director and editor.
Which in essence, we just shot a lot of stuff with people looking down the lens, and we had two different kinds of lenses that we kept playing with to hopefully figure out which one would work best. And we had a little thing called a lens baby, which was this little tiny lens, but you can kind of squish it around and make it look cool. And then we would shoot things standard on a really wide angle lens. And then Jason, the editor, and I would just sort of play around with those sort of things. And sort of another sort of tip to when we're in a false reality versus a real reality, I tried, and I'd have to watch the show again, it's been a while, but I tried to make Roger's eye lines, whenever he was in a false world, his eye line would be camera left. And when we were in reality, his eye line was always camera right.
I didn't pick that up, but that's so cool.
Oh, that's
If you watch it, I mean, I'm
interesting.
not saying it happened every time, and it definitely drove our AD a little crazy, and the DP, because I'd be like, I gotta have him looking camera left, and they were on board, and Roger was definitely on board for all that little subtleness, and then playing with the actors in this sort of you're not really your real character, you're sort of a puppet through the Ferris Corp guys, and they would do little subtle things, and sometimes too much, sometimes not enough, and you just sort of play around with those sort of shifty eye moments. And in retrospect, I remember it really worked well, especially in the cut, because you kind of not quite sure if it's a little bit of a head scratching moment for our characters who are trying to figure out what Six is going through.
That's really cool.
Wow. Let me just say, I also was a little confused because of the way I watch the episodes, because I want to watch them like 3 times before we review it. I first listen to it. I just listen to it while I'm working. I don't even watch it. I just listen to it, and so that added to my confusion.
Right.
But
Well, yeah, this was a really visual one, so I would think that you would be very confused if you are just watching or just hearing it.
Because of the last couple of episodes we've had, it does feel like Joe has stepped up the intricacy of some of the writing to me. Anyway.
It really depends on the script. I mean, this one particular, like I remember we were in the room breaking it, and the biggest challenge in the end was that final twist and how to get Six out of the, have him escape. And, we could have had, a 2 and 3 arrive in the nick of time, like happened in the previous version, but that always feels so unsatisfactory. And it's always great if you can find a way to use something you've set up in the episode, have a character use something that is set up in the episode to affect a turn. And that's what he does. He basically uses the device on them, but you kind of backsell it. You don't know that basically that, that basically you're in their mind or that guy's, the scientist's mind at that point. And it allows one more reversal, one final reversal that hopefully that one audiences didn't see coming. Even though I'm sure, longtime sci-fi audiences, probably would have, figured out what was going on early. And then, some of them probably would have expected that second turn where you think he's been saved, but he's not saved. But I don't think very many would have expected us to be in the researcher's mind in the third.
It was a double reversal of expectation.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched it, the last one where Roger had the thing. My husband picked up on it, but I didn't, and he was like, "Oh, he's reversed it on them." And I was like, "No!" And then it happened, and I was like, "How'd you know that?" And he's like, "I've watched a lot of sci-fi." I was like, "Okay, yeah." But there was, speaking of the dialogue, and I'm sorry that I'm skipping ahead. I just don't want to forget to tell you this, Joe. There was a bit of dialogue at the end when 2 is speaking with I forget her name.
Sarah.
Thank you. In the holodeck-ish situation she's got going on in her consciousness, and she's talking about how she's lonely and how important it is to have company and all that stuff. And I was like, oh my god, it's like being in quarantine.
Yes,
And,
I was watching that. I was like, wow, that is pretty prescient.
You foretold it all.
it literally, like, I was like, oh my gosh, all the entire like dialogue in that was reflective of what's going on right now. And it just blew my mind. I was like, wow. I add profit to his CD. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And thanks, John Burns. He's also talking to Bruce. Joe, when Six is rescued, I did notice that he's back in the infirmary. I did notice that he's back in the infirmary. He does not look at the computer screen before he pilots the Raza. Yeah, there's a lot of little things. Thank you, John Burns. There was a lot of little things in this episode.
The thing that tipped me, or not ticked me, but tipped me off at the first thing, and maybe it was intentional, I don't know, but Anthony 3, when he had that weird grin that was unusual. It's like going, that's not him, something's up. And then the story started kicking in. So
yeah, that's some of the conversation I had with him about sort of, you're not really your character, but make it so subtle that no one else would ever notice that you're not him. So he said, maybe I'll just smile a different way, or or even taking Six's hand, was sort of like. So I even shot a close up of that to kind of go, if you want to use it to kind of make it sort of, well, that seems strange, that seems odd.
He would
but the
never
big thing
do that.
was the when I showed the episode to my wife when we were making it, it was the writing on the screen and on the pill container. My wife goes, I can't read that. I'm like, you're not supposed to. And she's like, well, why are you cutting to it? And I'm like, we're showing you that he can't read it. And she's like, but I'm confused. And I'm like, that's good. Because that's where you're supposed to go, why am I confused? I can't read that. Well, he can read.
That's also, that was really interesting too, because in the Art of Dreaming, like if you've read Don Juan or any of those things that discuss about dreams and dream interpretation and realities, and to understand if you're dreaming or not, the power of controlling your dreams comes from the little details. So they actually teach you to read stuff or try and tell time, or those certain things in a dream won't quite line up with what reality is. So then you realize that you're dreaming, and then you can control your dreams. So it was really interesting that you guys incorporated that within the show.
By the way, guys, really quick, I want everybody to check out Paul's website when you get a chance. It is under construction today, though, for a few more days, right, Paul?
Yeah, right here as I speak.
He's working on it right now. But listen, I want to congratulate. Let me just say this. It does nothing to do with what we're talking about, but let me just congratulate you, Paul, because so many people are afraid not to use the .coms. But all the IT guys are telling us, go ahead, get these other handles, and congrats on getting one. That's good.
I have to give credit to my wife. She just like, don't go with .com. Everything going with .com. Go with something fun. So I just said, how it's about my work. So paulday.work, and people remember it. It's the easiest thing to remember. Well, my name's pretty short, so paulday.work is pretty good. So, and it's rather inexpensive.
That's true. Awesome. You want to tell us real quick what's on there, Paul?
It's just going to be sort of a collection of mostly posters from the shows I've worked on. I am working on a sizzle reel to sort of entice people to maybe dive into my IMDb page or check out more of the things I've been working on. I have been trying to promote myself more as a director, and I've been cutting a lot. So it's just, I guess, a rebranding of myself. So you'll see sort of clips of things I've worked on in the past. And I actually will right here live tell Joe that I'm a bit inspired by his blog. So I've started sort of the early designs of a blog Because in my other jobs, with the Directors Guild of Canada, and I helped co-found an organization for editors, I've interviewed a lot of people over the years, and so I'm reconnecting with some of these people and doing sort of, doing one-on-one interviews and just sort of making it extremely casual and informal, and sometimes just doing a chat for 20 minutes and then contacting them a month later and picking up where we left off. And I'd like to eventually get that in there, because I mean, one of my biggest passions is just sort of talking about the construction of movies and TV shows, and I love all the behind the scenes stuff. So it really dives into that. And I've reached out to some pretty heavy hitters. I won't name names just yet, but and it is all just sort of about the collaborative, creative environment that goes on inside of a cutting room. I think a lot of people, even within the industry, don't realize how much creativity and trying things out goes into making a TV show or a movie, or it's a lot of experimentation and a lot of fun. So I just that will be part of my website eventually. So keep an eye.
Very
out.
exciting. I urge everybody in the chat and who's watching to go ahead and check that out as soon as Paul has it up in a few days.
Yep. Thank you so much.
As always, great guest stars in this episode. We bring back Lieutenant John Anders, and this is an interesting episode in that it kind of cements his friendship with our sex, which is great. And question for Paul, like, how difficult was Jeff on set?
I mean, I've said it a million times. The 2 episodes I premiered my directing talents with, I had some of the best cast I've ever worked with, and Jeff and Roger and everybody were just so open and giving and fun. I remember the first time I met Jeff, he came over and he shook my hand, and he's just like, I am so anxious to get to work, and so I just love this character, and we talked about things, and I felt like I was a real director, like I was talking to him about the character and how we're gonna do things, and he was just, I'm just like, boy, if I work with every actor for the rest of my career that's like him, it's gonna be gold, because and it was just a thrill a minute. I loved every second of it.
We had fun, didn't we? It was a really fun episode to shoot.
Yeah. Even the days outside in the cold.
Where did you guys shoot that cafeteria scene? In like
I'm glad you asked that, Joe, because when I was watching the show, I don't even remember. We shot in Hamilton, but we shot in Hamilton for the exterior of the apartment building when his daughter, when the wife and son come out. Mm-hmm. And since we were all the way in Hamilton, Grant, the AD, was trying to figure out what other scenes can we shoot here. So whenever Anders is on screen, we shot it in the lobby of this theater in Hamilton. Mm-hmm. But the best story of that is that we had Roger and we had Janelle. Was that her name?
Janelle Williams, yeah.
Janelle, and we had the little boy, because we shot all the exterior stuff. But it was like, but we need to shoot the 1-bedroom scene that's at the beginning.
Yes,
and it was like,
I remember that.
We're not going to be able to get all the way back to Toronto to shoot this. So I don't know. I think it was Ian's or somebody's idea. We just literally built a bedroom in the lobby of this theater. And again, Ian Brock, the genius, comes in with these styrofoam things, and he goes, if we glue these all together and put it on the wall and then light it just right, then... So we're literally, shooting in one direction. We're in the lobby of this theater, and then just off to the right was a little snack bar, and that's where we shot the scene between Anders and Six as well. So, it's a testament to the ADs, the testament to the art department to just sort of go, these are all the things that we have to shoot today, except for this one thing we can't shoot here because we need a bedroom. And I think they searched around for one, but then it just became, let's just build a bedroom right here. And it worked really well. I mean, that's the magic of making movies.
TV magic, yep.
Yeah.
Jeff, are you up for a spin-off series?
Yeah, of course. I love playing him, so yeah. My fingers are always crossed that Joe, you can figure something out to finish the story up or something like that. But yeah.
It was really annoying because, as part of the fourth season, I can say this because Katie's not here, and if Katie, you're here, you can just block your ears for this point. But with the alien invasion that ends season 4, Anders was going to sort of enlist the help of the crew of the Raza to sort of take down the alien threat, and in exchange give them kind of blanket immunity, and he essentially would become the point man for their missions or campaign against the alien invaders. So,
Wow.
I had plans for Anders.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, out of all the other characters, they all have like little duplicity or strange backgrounds or other things going on, where Anders was the solid, straight shooter, good friend, and you got what you were looking at. He was pretty good guy all the way around. There was no complaints about anything. He was the friend you wish you had.
But to think that Six almost killed him at the end of episode 202.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I noticed online you'd hear a lot of comments that would say, "You're a nice guy, Jeff. I don't like Anders, though." And I remember at the time thinking, why? But I guess when you think about it, there were hints that maybe he wasn't always a good guy. But like, I liked him I was like you. I've always thought of him as a good friend. So, he believed in what he was doing. He believed in the Galactic Authority.
I couldn't trust him at first.
You don't trust anybody, though.
I know.
Let's be honest.
It's your go-to.
Yeah, I know. I'm pessimistic in that way. But then like what happened was, though, is that I thought his ideologies was really interesting because he knew how corrupt the system was. Like his character just really knows what's actually going on, and he's kind of like, you can't really do anything about it because it's so corrupt that not one person can change such a great on such a corruption on such a grand scale. And I think that vibes with a lot of people. It vibed with me because you're just kind of like, well, what can I do, as one person? And that was, but at the same time, it annoyed me because I'm like, then why are you part of the system? Because just get out of it then if you know how corrupt it is. But then you can do little things to try and change things for the better. And that was kind of reflected in that other episode where you're talking about the think tank and how one person kind of change things around if they just make a different choice. So I thought that his character was really interesting in that sense.
Mm-hmm. My favorite scene with Anders, though, is that you guys already talked about it, was when he took Six to see his family, and they got the new man in there, and Six has that shock, and his buddy's right there. That told me everything. I'm going, yeah, that's cool. That was a really good scene. Loved that.
I was going to bring that up too, because I was actually going to ask you, Joe, is there a reason that you decided to have him kind of not approach his family, like to just be like?
I think it's just infinitely more bittersweet if he doesn't approach the family, and that basically they go on oblivious. It's almost kind of parallels the death of Devin Telford, who basically is killed, but the crew doesn't know, what happened. They just thought he got off at the station. I think that there's a kind of a real I guess bittersweetness to the fact that not knowing. But
do they think like he's dead, or is the son gonna grow up thinking his father always left him or something?
Presumably he thinks, or they think, well, the mother will think that his job was more important than they were, and that he went off undercover and presumably is out there undercover still working as a GA officer somewhere.
Well, that's kind of sad because his son's going to grow up thinking his dad doesn't care about him, but that's not true.
Well, who knows? Maybe season 6 we can.
Okay.
Paul,
yeah, when he grows up and he comes back to look for his dad, like, you bastard, you left me.
Co-story credit for you.
Paul, did you see the question from Time Prophet? Did you meet Roger Cross when you directed First Wave?
I didn't direct First Wave. I only edited this series. In fact, I think I only cut one episode. But I did not meet him. So there was one day, I think, because where we were cutting was right next door to the studio that First Wave shot in, but I was on another series at the time, and then I was brought in to kind of pinch hit to cut one episode. But it is interesting because the first day I did meet Roger, I said, I worked on First Wave for a little bit. He's like, no way. So it's just, I had an instantaneous connection with him. So we talked about that for a while. So, but
Joe, do you want to take this question from Jeff? How did you change the GA as the series progressed?
To be honest with you, the GA didn't really change as the series progressed. They were always who they were. The Lieutenant Anders character changed, but only insofar as sort of obviously within the parameters of the show. I kind of always had a plan for him. So.
Gotcha. Thank you, Jeff. Was there? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nina.
Oh no, I just said awkward silence for a minute.
Oh, was there a particularly difficult part of the shooting, Paul?
It was February, but we didn't have a lot of stuff outside. I think really what it was just sort of the time on set that it would take to do the POV stuff. And just because I think I mentioned earlier where we were kind of not sure if the lens baby stuff, because I didn't want to lock myself into a particular look if it didn't work. So, there was a couple times where we had to kind of swing the lens each time to kind of make it work, or to at least have options in the cutting. But I off the top of my head, no, again, and I'm not just saying this, it was, just a joy to work on. Great people, organization, the whole thing just moved like silk. It was really great. I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything that really kind of threw me for a loop. Nothing.
There was actually a lot of good people in that episode. The two guys playing the scientist stuck out, but also you had what I consider one of the best actors in Canada, David Richmond Peck.
Yes,
who was on that episode.
There's Commander Neiman.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's brilliant. Like, I actually watch videos of his acting sometimes when I have a big role coming up.
Mm-hmm.
He's that good. He inspires me. Yeah, he is.
I hate him. So
he's a sweet guy in real life. I haven't seen him in a long time. He doesn't act anymore.
He doesn't?
Oh,
no,
really?
He kind of got out of it. He got a legitimate business idea, and haven't talked to him in a while, but he was doing very well with it. I think he saw that there was a chance to sort of set himself up for life, or keep the struggle going, and he went the other way.
Wow, I think he's been in at least 4 series I've cut over the years. Like he constantly pops up.
Yeah, he worked like a champ. Like he was in everything.
Yeah,
but I honestly consider him one of the best actors I've ever seen. He's that good.
Wow.
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, he's really good because, like I said, he makes me hate his character. I was like, every time he's on screen, I'm like, oh, this guy again. Can't wait until he dies.
And Janelle ended up being my estranged wife in Utopia Falls.
Utopia Falls, yeah.
So I took Roger's wife.
Yeah. Wow. Hard.
I think the confusing part of this episode for me was definitely the ending where Zoe seems to be seemingly possessed.
Actually, to be honest with you, that was actually probably my favorite part of the episode.
It was my favorite part to shoot, I'll tell you that much.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was so much fun.
I love that scene where he's like where she's standing and the lights come on. That was so cool. Like that was dope.
Mine was the rack focus from her face to the front of the gun. And when I got really low, I just remember the focus puller said, "Are we going to rack from her face to the front of the gun?" I'm like, you know it. And then I think, I shot it, but I didn't know it was ever going to end up in the episode, was when she walked down the hallway kind of out of focus. Because we did that a couple of times. I think it may have even been the first thing I shot. Day one was just having Zoe walk down the hallway and then walk back down the hallway, and it was the easiest thing to direct. And she would walk past camera and then turn around and walk the other direction.
Mhm.
But then I said, when you come back the third time, just come right down the hall, and then just stop at the camera and just look right down the lens.
Mhm.
And then I told the focus puller, don't rack the focus. Just have her walk right into focus, and she's just going to stop and stare. And that ended up in the cut. I was so happy to see that there.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was a really cool shot. I really liked it.
That sequence it's a great sort of kind of slow burn, creepy, kind of disorienting sequence in which you don't know what's going up, and then it kind of as it's going on, it's kind of building in weirdness. And then when she pulls the gun on 3, it's like, holy shit. And then basically the tension kind of diffuses, and she goes back to her charging station, and you're left wondering what the hell is going on.
This is the reason I hate AI and robots. You never know when they're gonna go wonky and kill you in your sleep. This is why.
That's our future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the
they
way,
just-
go ahead, Dave.
Oh no, it was just incidental. The U.S. Air Force now has AI ran fighter jets. They just have them done where they can send them up cheaply and run autonomously. They finished the testing for them.
I'm upset about this.
Yeah, me too.
Skynet.
I just saw
Skynet.
one where they had the self-driving cars, and the self-driving car went crazy and locked the person inside, and then would just like stop in the middle of the road and wouldn't let anyone. Anyways, we're getting off topic, but I hate AI.
Jeff, I think all the fans were really excited when you showed up in this episode. When I think we were all watching for the first time. We were all excited.
Yeah, I remember at the time it was really pleasant to go on Twitter on that and see the response I got. I always said I was like a close cousin. I wasn't the main cast or anything like that, but you guys treated me so well, and so anytime I got to come back, I was in glory. But it was nice to see the reaction that he's alive and here he is doing his thing. So yeah, I was overjoyed. I remember we watched it up at my my parents' cottage, and I think the 7 neighbors were over at the same time. It was hard to hear because people kept talking, but it was amazing to be back. Yeah.
Jeff has always been a trooper. This is not a Dark Matter story, but when we were on Utopia Falls, I don't know what it was with he had the flu or food poisoning that one day, and you came in and he basically, just kind of put his head down and did his scenes despite being violently ill, and
that was horrific. I'll never forget it. And I gotta give Warren credit, the director Warren Sonoda, because I felt so bad for everybody. The worst feeling is when there's a darkness on the set that you're looking into, sort of, and you see, if you actually look, there's a lot of people there, and the camera would creep in during the scene, and everybody would get there, and then I'd screw up my line because I couldn't think straight, and I'd be like, sorry, and then you just see everybody creeping back into the distance, to start again, go to once. It was the worst feeling in the world, but everybody was so nice. And I remember Warren saying, trust me, you're doing great. I'm going to cut it in a way that it'll all work out. Because Warren, I guess he's got a reputation for doing it, but he plans his stuff out, all the moves all over the place. So, it would be like, when you get to this part of the scene, can you be here and turn this way there and whatever? And I couldn't even remember my name at this point. But he was right. It's one of my favorite episodes. It turned out great, but I think my swearing made the blooper reel. And I also remember I had to go out and buy a case of beer for the crew after, because I just felt terrible that I put them through that.
A trooper, though, a real trooper.
Oh, thank you.
Jeff has a question for you. What process have you, if any, do you have for getting back into the Anders character?
I mean, I'm kind of a classical thing where I just try. I have notes that when I come up with a character, or not come up with them, but build the character on what's given to me. I take what they've given me, and then I create a backstory where there isn't one. So I have a lot of ideas about what Anders was doing before you saw him, and what he wants in life, that sort of thing. And I guess the whole point is hopefully it jives well with what the showrunner wants and what the director is wanting for the episode. So yeah, I basically just have this sort of notebook, which I still have actually, with all the information about what I think he should be thinking and what he would do, what's right, what's wrong. And that's where, again, I was given a lot. I remember in the episode where I talk about believing in what the GA does, that really gave me a lot of, that episode gave me a lot more feeling onto who he was, because I really took him like I have a friend in the military that says a similar thing. He was a former SEAL. And I remember talking to him once saying, I don't always agree with the stuff we do. It was almost a similar line, but that's my job. And I believe in the overall thing, and I'd rather us be in charge than, whatever else is in charge. So I remember thinking at the time, I like Anders like that. He sees the BS in the system, but he also knows things could be a lot worse, and maybe he can change things one increment at a time. So
it'd be interesting to see your thoughts and your background that you gave for the character and what Joe actually had in his mind for the character and how closely they related. Or did you guys ever talk about it?
No.
No, I think maybe we allude to each other certain things, or I would ask you, I think I remember asking you stuff, about him or what you think of things. But that's actually a really interesting question for you, because you are, you're the god of the series. So, you must have ideas in your head where these people came from, not just out of the ether, what were these people like? What was Six like, for the longest time before we're introduced to them? It's just interesting how that must be. You put out this baby and then you give it to someone else to sort of take over. To me, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, in terms of the backstory, but it's an interesting question. I'm curious as what backstory you created for Anders.
I'm trying to remember, but I believe that he had a family in my mind, that he left for similar reasons like what they said about Six, is that he was too attached to his job. Didn't mean he didn't love them, but he just, he saw something bigger going on. But over time, he became jaded and wished that he hadn't done that. And so, yeah, there's a whole thing there.
So he was single. Noted.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, single now.
Interesting.
There was a line in the end that I really, really liked too, when he's, when they're figuring out who everyone is, like if they're in a dream or whatever. And then Five is like, telling him, I forget what it was exactly, but she's like, I care about you. And he's like, you're laying it on a little too thick there. Like, it was so great. Cause I was like, man, she's so like all needy. Like, it's just like, dude, Five's not like that. Look at his face. It's so funny. What's happening to me?
Yeah, it's some great takes of Roger.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of cuts in this? Because I feel like they would be laughing all the time. Like Roger especially.
I think Roger just has fun. He can turn it on and turn it off in like the blink of an eye. So he could be joking and goofing around with you, and then the camera rolls and the slate goes in, and he's Six.
That's cool.
He did have a lot of questions because I think he knew how much it was riding on his character.
This was heavy.
And so I know he had a lot of conversations with you, Joe, and we had Ivan on set, and they had lots of conversations about that. And there was a few times where he wanted to try a few things just for the sake of trying it. And, that, again, is a testament to working on the show where you have the time to sort of play with that. And I did notice, again, some of those takes that he said that he would like to try did end up in the cut. So there was his instincts were on the money, at least for those scenes.
He definitely knew his character.
Yeah, but again, there's no pretense about playing around or exploring what the situation is. He didn't want to play it too confusing. He wanted to play it confusing, but he didn't want to be like, trying to catch up the whole entire episode as to what was going on. So create a little bit of smart and sharpness to his interpretation of what's going on. But that moment when he goes, I have a wife, take one. It was like, I don't think we need to do that again, because that was great. It's such an exuberance of I have a wife and kid. It was great.
Yeah, he's just such a good actor because there was a lot of close-up shots of his facial expressions that basically kind of told what you should be feeling or what it is that's being portrayed, and that, I mean, that's just a sign of a good actor.
He does it so well too, subtly. When I watched that episode, I saw myself moving around, and I watched how still he was, and it really made me want to concentrate on doing less from watching that episode. Just when you see the banter between the two of us. But you're right too, Paul. He's on set. He inspired me so much from the first moment I worked with him. I knew a little bit about him, so I wasn't sure if he'd be one of these sort of bigger actors that can be a jerk, don't bug him. He immediately talked my head off, and we found our own things we knew about and got on with. And I remember, like you said, when we got on to set, he was 6. And then we were done, we were laughing and joking, and it made me think, God, I'm too serious all the time. Off set, I'm worried about screwing up. And just he would walk around the room every day, going up to everybody, knew everybody's name. He was always patting people on the back, making everybody feel good. And I thought, that's how you want to be on a set. You can't beat that.
And you guys are pretty good friends offset too. I mean, you
I love Roger. In fact, it's a real bummer because he just did the whole season of Corner. And normally we hang out when he's here, or I'll go to Vancouver, and because of COVID we couldn't. So he actually, I was reading for something on that show, and he was going to be my reader that one day. But again, I didn't have my shots or anything like that, so couldn't do it.
And again, Ivan Bartok was the writer, right, Joe?
Yep.
This episode.
Yep. Ivan, also a buddy of yours too.
Yeah. I love Ivan. That's what I mean. This show, I got to meet so many great people, yourself included, Joe, and Paul. But I made so many great friends out of it. And, Joe and your band of merry people all went over to Utopia Falls. There were so many great people on that show I got to see again because of it. So, yeah, it's not just the acting end of it. It's just a whole community of good people. Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Another
your
guy
buddy
I haven't seen
Alex.
in ages. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Hopefully in real life, one of these days we'll all get together.
Yes.
Yeah, in Cancun, everybody come down here.
Deal.
We have somewhere to stay.
Wait a minute, are you in Cancun?
Yeah.
Oh my God. As soon as this thing lifts, my first place I got to go to is the Mayan or Cozumel, because I'm a diver. I cannot wait. So that's.
Oh my gosh, definitely. Cozumel's amazing.
Yes. Awkward silence.
And we have this, we have this brief period here where we see the real, not the fake Raza crew. But I did just really want to go back and ask everybody, when you saw 3, wasn't he just really off to you when you guys saw him?
Yes. Yeah. He was way too nice.
The fake 3.
Yeah, he was just way too nice and cared about people. That's not 3. That's not the 3 I know at all. No.
But it's a testament, I think, to Anthony too, that just the subtleness that he brought to that sort of environment, and he played around with that too from take to take. So it was always nice, and he wouldn't say it sometimes. He'd be like, "I'm going to try something, just watch," and it was great. It was great stuff.
I feel like that was Anthony in real life. Like he played himself, like the super nice guy, like the super nice Canadian that cares about people.
But the thing is, he can control the twinkle. The twinkle in his eye.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a dimmer switch on that he can turn up, but he can turn down.
Totally.
And he does a really mean Bon Jovi impression as well.
What? Really? Next time he's on here, we got to ask him to do it.
You got to get him to do it, man. We were in LA. I was down with Alex for pilot season, and we ended up meeting up with Roger and then him. So we all went to this bar, shot some pool and stuff, and then we found there was a karaoke machine, and he got up and he nailed Bon Jovi. Like, he did a great job.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Look how caring he is. That's why I love it when he punched Roger in the face. It's like, you asked for it, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like that little, the little jab that Roger took at him too, because that's such a dude thing to do, and I don't think they would allow that to happen nowadays. But like the little low cut, I don't know if you guys caught that or not, because I sure did.
The low cut what? What?
Like the low cut, like he went for the groin area after
right,
like as in response to the punch, and it's a really dude thing to do, and it was cool to see that.
True story about that scene. I think we had a stunt doubles for both of them, and as a new director, I'm always learning what exactly is a stunt and what isn't. I mean, as an editor, I see when they switch out the performers for stunt doubles and stuff like that. But obviously, some of these actors just want to try and do it as much as possible. But when he turns and hits the android, Zoe did this thing where she went like almost face down into the gurney, and it's in the cut. And boy, on set, it was just kind of like, did she just hurt herself? Because I know I'm going to get in trouble if she. But no, and then she bounces right back up, and she's like, "All right, let's do another one."
Yeah, she like bounced off the gurney, right? Her head.
Yeah.
And they added
Oh my
that sound
God.
effect too.
And see, her posture there in this scene too is also a giveaway because that's not the normal Zoe posture for the droid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She's
Was
a little
that
more
on purpose?
robotic.
Yeah, much more like upright and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I was going to say when Anthony was being nice to Roger, and it felt nice though. Like I remember at the time thinking, they're getting along. This is a turn.
Uh,
Well, he also Six also had a nice moment with Five, with the fake Five as well.
mm-hmm.
But she laid it on so thick. I was like, no, this is not, no.
Is that
Like
the
in
one
the basement, right? You're talking about
Right.
PJ,
Yeah.
like when she's like, I come down here when I'm sad.
Yeah,
I was like, no.
that's it. I think this is the shot you were talking about, Paul.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, but I think there's a reverse that it cuts to, but she kind of like bonk bounces off the gurney, and it was just like, oh geez, on set it was just like, oh god. There's that brief moment where you go, is everyone getting up again?
It was really interesting how Zoe's character was so very subtle, but she was different, though, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, she was definitely different, right, Joe?
Oh, yeah, she was different. They were all actually very different. Melissa's character was a little more impatient. Anthony's character was a little, a little more empathetic. Jodel's character was a lot more needy.
Yeah,
So it was basically them, but to like the, times 10.
Yeah. Amped up.
Mm-hmm.
God, I couldn't be friends with her if she was that needy. I'd be like, out of here.
Yeah.
This was a cool
great.
scene.
Yeah.
That's going to leave a mark.
Do you want to be on
Yes.
Toxic
But it
Femininity with you, Nina?
No. I like this. It's one way to prove that you're in a dream.
Mm-hmm. If you ever are in doubt,
Mm-hmm.
this is the test.
Stab yourself.
cut your hand.
No, nobody is saying that. Just to the audience, nobody's saying you actually.
No. Yeah.
I feel
Disclaimer.
like I'm in a dream today.
We're not saying hurt yourself. No.
Well, even the staging of that sequence, I wanted it to kind of feel a bit like, they kind of come from every direction at the same time. And, 2 and 3 and where the android comes from, it's just sort of like zoop. It's all just sort of like they appear almost like they're side by side, and it's like he can't go in any direction, doesn't know where to go.
Nice, I like that.
Corey in the chat it says, "Do not try this at home."
Yes.
That looks like it should be a meme.
That's a good stink face,
Yeah.
The crowded elevator. Who did that?
Yeah, that's a great meme right there.
Actually, a fun story about that room. They built that at one of the warehouses, the studios that we have. But there was moments when it was constructed where it was kind of one way in and one way out. and it concerned, I think, me and Craig, the DP, or actually it was Gregor who was DPing that unit, and it was just sort of like, what part of the dome can we remove, because I don't know how easy it was to put it back together. And there's always these pauses when you ask these questions. It's just like, can we remove this part of the dome? It's just kind of like, sure. It's like, I don't feel confident about this. Well, will you ever want to shoot in that direction again? Maybe. It's like, those are the sort of things where you sort of have to go, okay, well, we'll shoot everything this way or shoot everything that way. But the crazy thing about it, because it was a complete half dome, and when it was empty and nothing was in there, if you stood directly in the middle and talked, it would bounce off the ceiling and bounce back down to you. So there was a couple times where I was in there with the AD and the DP, and we were on one side of the dome, and there was a bunch of other people on the other side of the dome having a conversation. And again, the sound would reverberate around. So it was almost like they were standing right beside you.
Huh.
And then compound that with shooting a gun in there. It was like everybody needed earplugs, because it was just going to bounce around for 5 minutes.
That's insane.
Paul, I really like this shot, by the way. This one right here.
Through the glass, yeah.
Hello.
And that was another cool thing. They had a piece of plexiglass that we could bring in as sort of a reference for eye lines. I mean, obviously they couldn't see what was being put in there later, but great idea to put like a real substance there, a real glass there, as opposed to just pretend you're looking there. So it helped them. We put little dots where the eye lines would go, and then in the VisiVex they would just match up those eye lines. So yeah, it was fun.
I really I wish Katie was here, because I was kind of hoping to get her thoughts on this episode, because she's watching it for the first time, and like the part where Six gets shot. And I was like thinking to myself, like, oh, she probably spilled food on her couch.
We bring him back just to kill him off.
Yeah.
And I think up to that point, I might be wrong, but I don't think Roger had ever been squibbed. I think he said he hadn't had that many squibs on him or something. And I remember he wasn't nervous about it. It was just sort of like, how many times do you want to do this? I was like, I don't know. How many times do you want to do that? And he goes, once. Sounds good, sort of thing.
I remember like when I was watching it the first time, when you did that, Joe, when he got killed, because that's the one that was the last one that I couldn't tell, and my husband could tell. I was like, no, he's dead, and like I was like all freaking out, like they brought him back just to kill him. This is bullshit. And then my husband was like, he's not dead, just watch. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, your husband's so sci-fi savvy.
Yeah, way more than me.
Joe, it was nice. The little gamer joke between the two technicians was nice.
Let me have a turn. Let me have a chance.
Right.
Were all the cast playing Oculus Rift and the?
I don't know where we ended up. Our props master Victoria picked it up.
Because I remember back then, Oculus, I think this was really in at the time, and it was really expensive. I think it was like $700, $800, $900 to get it. And so like when I saw it in this, I was like, the cast must have had a lot of fun with it.
I don't think it worked.
Oh, it didn't work.
No, I don't think nothing was plugged into it. I think the cable just went to the bottom of the chair, and that was it.
And that was it.
But I even then, I don't think everyone was trying it on. I think it was only just, it was kept like sort of hidden underneath a glass jar or something, and then it would only come out at the right
Yeah,
time.
it makes sense, because it was so expensive. You guys probably didn't want to anything happen to it.
I have a friend who gave me a pro set of those goggles about 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
He's a Bitcoin millionaire, and he ordered 2 of them by mistake. He just gave me one, saying, "You like this, right?" I told him to take it back, but he says, "No, take it." Then I went and found out I needed a $3,000 computer just to run them. So they're still in the closet right behind me.
It's like a trick gift.
Now, when you shot this, Jeff and Paul, was this Is this being pieced together, or you're not actually talking to Roger, right?
No, Jeff was actually we shot that in Hamilton on the day that we were doing the bedroom stuff, and then the other stuff we would shoot later. So it was, I think the script supervisor off camera would feed Jeff his Roger's lines.
No, it was Roger. I was gonna say because I was really happy that he took the time because he had a pretty busy
you know what?
schedule.
You're right. He stuck around at the end of the day. Another testament to Roger. Yeah, he did.
That
That's
doesn't
right.
always happen. I remember, actually, it wasn't his fault, but I remember working with Kiefer Sutherland once, and as nice as he was, he had to be somewhere else, so they gave me a tennis ball to talk to and some dude for the scene. So that happens. So I was really, I remember at the time thanking him, like saying thank you for taking the time to do this with me.
And I remember, I think I had 15 minutes to shoot it.
Was it like that? Good thing I didn't know. I would have screwed that up beyond belief. Pressure.
Yeah,
That must make a world of difference, having the actual actor there as opposed to, here's the ball, this is the line.
Yeah, and then just someone feeds it. It can happen, and I understand schedules and stuff. Because honestly, I've now worked with actors, I can say, that where a tennis ball would have been preferable when you were working with them. And they just, unfortunately, it does happen. It doesn't happen a lot, but I have had that experience that people have told me about where, you do your scene on you and you try your best and you give everything you can to the other actor. And then when it's time for their close-up, your close-up, I mean, the other person is like a tennis ball -3. Just not in there. They want to get off to somewhere or read a book. I have no idea. So yeah, Roger was great that way. And we did other ones too. I remember doing one in one of the other episodes as well, where it was Anthony or someone read with me. It was nice. It helps.
Yeah, it's always tough. I remember the old show My Three Sons with
God,
Fred McMurray.
Fred McMurray.
Yeah, he used to basically, do his stuff, get his coverage, and leave, and the kids would have to act with a mop. Apparently.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they would have to act to a mop.
I love stories like that.
That's hilarious.
I remember reading stories about Doris Day and Rock Hudson didn't like each other, and they would shoot the master one take, and then their close-ups, they wouldn't be in the same room together.
Yeah, I could see that.
Wow.
It's amazing you can get chemistry from places like that.
Mm-hmm.
Darius, thank you, Darius, for the
It's a popcorn.
For the popcorn. Yes, thank you, Nina. Thank you so much, Darius, for your support and the super sticker.
Thank you, Darius Munchausen.
And I just realized I usually refer to Darius as DM, and he's got the initials of Dark Matter.
Oh.
And this is where you guys. This is Hamilton then.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Like if you go through those doors, is where the cafeteria was that we shot the cafeteria or the eating scene. And then just to the right is where we built the bedroom.
So that weird pillar thing is actually like in real life, like you can go there and visit it.
Yep.
Oh.
And oddly enough, it's a piece of art, so you have to get it cleared.
Wow.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I never realized that.
That's interesting.
It's a living arts center kind of place, or like an opera center. I forget.
I think it was 2 theaters for some reason, because we had to shoot something else for another episode, and we kind of explored around there, and I think we found one theater lower down, and there was another bigger theater. But yeah, and then just to the left there is like a statue garden of some sort. Like there was a lot of statues that they just basically said we don't want to see the garden of statues. So.
Paul, what do you? I mean, forgive my ignorance. What do you when you mean cleared? In what sense? Because it's out in the public, right?
I think it's just it's like artwork on the walls. It's they have to make sure it's usable, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
It's a legal thing, and in Canada, it's especially they're especially careful. I know on every show I've ever done, they will always. Initially they will turn me down if I script something. Like for instance, there's an episode 308 that's coming up where the 6th character mentions Quidditch, and I knew that if I wrote it in the script, the lawyers would say no, you can't use that. So I misspelled it perfectly in a way that you could I forget how I spelled it, like something like QWEEDIITCH, so that it didn't look like actual Quidditch, and so they didn't say anything. And you know, I got to say it, but I just find that the Canadian lawyers were especially persnickety about that type of stuff.
So is Netflix. On Hemlock Grove, we shot a whole scene in a house, actually a bunch of scenes in a house in season 1, and they didn't have a clearance person. And then came around the time where the lawyers looked at it and they said, all the artwork on the wall, did you guys put that up, or is that artwork that was on the wall at the location? And it's like, oh no, that was just the location artwork. And so we had to CGI out the artwork. If you watch some scenes in early episodes of Hemlock Grove, there's basically white paintings on the wall, or a version of a painting on the wall.
Wouldn't it be cheaper to acquire the rights than to actually digitally alter?
Sometimes they don't grant them, apparently. Like I've had long conversations with post supervisors about this. It's just like they've explored. There was artwork on the wall of a show I did in Vancouver that they couldn't even find the artist. They couldn't even find who owned the painting. So to be safe, they just said, then we'll just have to blur it out or cut around it. I mean, have you guys actually really watched Grease? When you watch the movie Grease, whenever they're in the diner, they blur out some background paintings, and it's Coca-Cola. Watch the movie Grease. When they're in the diner, they've blurred out Coca-Cola logos. It's because they shot with them, and then Coca-Cola didn't want to promote it because something strange, like there was smoking or something like that at the time, so they didn't approve that.
Hi, I remember I wrote an episode of Stargate once, and I featured a character painting Warhammer figures, and Warhammer was like, no. I was like, all right.
What? That's crazy. You would think that they would want the publicity in any way, shape, or form. That's just so crazy to me.
I remember that.
I think it's just the worry of being sued, because people just see it as an option to jump in and make money off it. You know, on a TV series like The Boys that is shot here in Toronto, they have 3 clearance people. That's all they do all day long is clear stuff.
Wow. Well, because I was going to say, I've worked on productions where most of the ones, it's like if you bring up a phone, you always got to use a prop because it can't be Apple. You can't see the logo or anything like that. And yet I've been on ones where it's like, yeah, no problem. You put your phone up. You use your own phone if you want.
Yeah, that means they had somebody come in a lot earlier and cleared all that stuff.
Yeah, I guess I just realized it was so technical that way that, you know, like even everyday things like a search engine, you can't use Google because they got to clear it.
Right. The original E.T. was supposed to eat M&Ms, and M&M said no. So then they went with a brand new candy called Reese's Pieces, and the rest is history.
Wow.
But
Why would
M&M's
M&M say
originally
no? They don't want aliens eating their
I don't know.
chocolates?
Steven Spielberg calling. Can I use M&Ms in my movie?
Somebody got fired for that.
Yeah.
So we finally see you guys here together, physically together.
Yeah, this is a very nice moment. Like I said, a bit of a sweet moment on the B side, and a really nice moment here where you kind of comfort Six, and you guys kind of head off.
Roger's an easy guy to comfort that way. I remember being really in the scene. Just the look on his eyes. Even now, it's like it's heartbreaking for him.
Yeah, it's like a really nice bromance. Like you guys are just so nice together. It was weird because the scene was done a little too quick for me, because I thought, because you didn't show them go there and then you just kind of showed them together and then you didn't show them leave. And then the next scene, we just kind of cut to the dining room scene. And I was almost half expecting Anders to be there and like have dinner with them. And then, and he wasn't there. So I was like, oh, did he leave? Like he went back to the GA, I guess. But there was no goodbye. So
I'd hoped he was there.
He should have had dinner with them.
You know, the secret thing about that shot, I shouldn't ruin it because it was such a nice moment, but just behind that round door there was a fresh pile of dog excrement. So I remember we had to be really careful on ones. It's like, where is that?
Oh my God.
Isn't there someone, it's a union thing, I think. Isn't there someone who basically comes and cleans a poop off sets?
Well, Roger had
locations?
mentioned it. He said something to, I think, to Ivan or something like, Ivan, is there not somebody can get rid of this stuff here so we don't step in it or something like that?
Oh my God, you're supposed to pick up after your dog. What the heck?
Yes.
No, that happens all the time, unfortunately.
That's funny though. Movie magic.
The things you remember.
Yeah.
Don't step there.
And
All I
like-
know is just to the left of that or just to the right of that is Hamilton. So I couldn't show Hamilton. It's just like I have to do a reverse on this. And I was trying to think,
Yes.
where could we find another place to do a reverse? And oddly enough, it fit right in.
God knows
Hamilton,
what
I mean,
you're
you would get a regional tax credit for shooting in Hamilton, but it is the most un-sci-fi looking location, like any of the locations there.
It's funny too because like because the actors, you guys usually get like X on the ground to like where you stand, and then it's like, oh, the X is poo, like don't stand here.
That was the second mark to not hit.
Yeah.
The number 2 mark.
The number 2 mark.
Go back to this.
That's good. That's good.
and-
Yeah, so this is the scene with the
Yeah.
dinner. I wanted Anders to be part of the team now.
Yeah, in retrospect, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it feel like he's stepping back into a more leadership role, Joe, when he's coming back to the Raza?
I wouldn't say leadership role. I mean, he always had kind of a
Moral compass of the
yeah, and that's what kind of he's reasserting and kind of reassuming his position with the crew.
Kareen asks, "What is the most sci-fi looking location you've been to?" Maybe Joe, you want to answer that?
I'm trying to think the most sci-fi looking. And I just think, in terms of kind of weirdness, Brampton City Hall was incredibly weird. It's where we shot Alexander Rook's headquarters, and it was like a giant entranceway that was lined with these stone roses along the walls. So that was pretty weird. I'm not sure if it was necessarily sci-fi looking.
I've seen the conference center on the exhibition grounds in a lot of movies and shows.
Oh
It's
yeah.
a lot of glass and metal and stuff.
Yeah.
And Roy Thompson Hall because it looks like a big giant
time,
UFO.
Yeah, back on Stargate, they used to shoot, or sci-fi shows used to shoot a lot at the Simon Fraser University campus. It was the Tolan homeworld. It was just kind of like universities actually offer great futuristic looks.
I was just going to bring up that Tolan homeworld.
Yeah.
I love those pillows.
Yeah, actually, that's what Kemi said. We were watching. She was like, "Oh, that looks very comfortable."
Mm-hmm. I was
Should've
like, I want
snagged
one.
Joe, in the very next shot, what's going on in her? What's going on in her?
In her mind is basically the fact that he wonders what Rio's not telling him. What horrible thing has he done? And she says, "Don't worry, it's probably nothing." And she turns around, and it's very clear she knows what it is that he doesn't know.
Oh. Dun, dun, dun.
Interesting.
You don't find out until episode 312.
And then I thought that she went crazy and took over the robot.
Uh-huh.
And
I
then,
thought-
go ahead, Nina.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that she went crazy and took over the robot and then wanted to kill him so that she can transfer his consciousness into the place
Interesting.
so they can be there forever.
That's what my family thought.
Mhm.
Actually, Joe, I mean, like a lot of people actually thought that it wasn't that maybe she would take over the android.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was a very strong possibility, and certainly we don't do anything here to dissuade that notion. In fact, we very much kind of tee that up a bit in kind of the ominous way she looks off, and then we end with the android acting erratically at the end.
Possessed.
Mhm.
I always thought sleepwalking, but you know, android, the more human it becomes.
Right.
That's no human. I'm so mean to androids.
And we even get 5 visiting here.
Hmm?
Oh, when she drops in on him at the end, or oh no, sorry, you mean 2?
5, 2, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. That's what.
Yeah, this is when they had that conversation, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"This is it's very true." Because I'm all about human connection and understanding, and being amongst each other. We're not islands. We're social creatures.
Mm-hmm.
This is abnormal,
Mm-hmm.
and then this actually kind of put it into words, and it was really nice.
Hmm.
And of course, Joe throws us for a loop and leaves us just wanting more when he goes ahead and sets this up.
Oh yeah, there's a shot. Yeah,
My favorite shot.
yeah, great.
Great shot.
Mm-hmm.
Staring down the barrel of the gun.
Man, I miss this.
It's all Arthur C. Clarke's fault. 2001: Space Odyssey. Hal, freak me out, man.
If it wasn't for him, all robots would be nice.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Because I was like, and I was really, really young when I watched that movie the first time, and then I read the books a few years later. But when I watched that, I was like, he's not really mean, is it? Like, it was just, and he just went out of control.
Yeah, because I think the first ones, the robots in history for movies and television, I think the first ones were all kind. There was Forbidden Planet, when you see Robbie the first, and he was a good robot. And then there was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a giant metal robot that alien brought with him. And it actually, you know what I'm talking about. It was trying to do.
Are you talking about The Day the Earth Stood Still?
Yeah, yeah.
What was his name?
Yeah,
so like Gwart or something.
But it wasn't a bad AI at all.
Yeah.
No, he was good.
They named a band after that robot. What was the name of that?
I just tweeted about it the other day. I gotta find it now.
I'm finding out
sorry.
the unlicensed Google machine.
Yeah, you're allowed to show your phone on this stream.
I do want to take this question from Nate. Joe, if you were offered an MCU movie, which character would you like to do?
If I was an MCU,
I guess if you were offered to head up an MCU movie.
obviously, I love Deadpool. I've always kind of loved Deadpool.
Ooh.
And if it was DC, I'd probably do Booster Gold.
I've never even heard of Booster Gold.
Oh, you gotta look into him.
You got the comedy chops for Deadpool. That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I like him, because he has a sense of humor.
It was Gort.
Gort.
Yeah.
Jeff, same question. Like, what superhero do you want to play?
You know, I'm not a superhero guy. I hate to admit it, but no. I was when I was a kid, but not these days. However, having said that, I saw Deadpool a few months ago, and I loved it beyond belief. So,
did you watch both, first and second?
Yeah, absolutely loved it. Like I my wife kept saying to me, "Trust me, it's not like everything else. You're gonna love it." And I remember at the time I was saying, I like physics in my movies and stuff, and I saw it and I was like, "Damn, this is good."
That movie restored my love for superhero movies, because I remember I used to watch all of them, and then I went to see Avengers: Age of Ultron, and I've seen like bad superhero movies before, and they're just kind of fun, like the Roger Corman stuff. But this movie just offended me on so many levels And it was like watching someone else play a video game for 3.5 hours. And I know people do it,
Jesus,
but
yeah.
I was like, it just felt like someone had been. They were like, here, do whatever you want, and they just did whatever the fuck they wanted. And
I
Age of,
know,
Age of Ultron is what
Yes.
you're talking about?
yes,
Oh, you must have loved Endgame then. My God.
no, actually, I really liked Endgame, and what was the other one?
Infinity War?
Yeah, Infinity War. Oh,
I
think
liked
preferred
Infinity War.
more than Endgame.
Yeah,
But,
I hated Endgame. I liked Infinity War though. It was good.
But I did not. I absolutely hated.
Age of Ultron, I tried twice. Both times I fell asleep in 35, 40-minute mark. It's like, no.
It's funny because I brought Akemi to go see 2 movies, a couple of days apart. First, we went to see Mad Max, the Fury Road, and she was on the edge of her seat the entire time, like throwing looks at the other people in the audience who roundly ignored her, going like, and then we go to see Avengers: Age of Ultron, and there's a huge, it opens up with that huge video game like battle sequence, 20 minutes in, and I turn around and she's fast asleep in the seat beside me.
That's hilarious.
a funny story about Deadpool is I know Julian Clark, who's a Canadian. He cut the first one. He was the editor on the first one, and we did a bit of an interview thing with him a couple of years ago. And in the pre-interview, talking to him, I asked him. I said, how much ad-libbing, how much does Ryan Reynolds do? And he goes, tons. He goes, you can make a whole other movie out of the stuff he gives you.
Oh, wow,
brilliant,
that's awesome.
I like him even more.
But it just meant that when he would get dailies, every day the footage would come in from the previous day's filming, and it would be 5 hours. They just wouldn't turn the cameras off. He would just keep going and going and going. His energy level was at 100% all day long. So I can only imagine what we haven't seen in that movie.
Wow.
They can release a special D or Blu-ray, whatever comes next.
Yeah.
Hours of extra footage. I was going to tell you guys. You asked me about a superhero movie, and I don't know if I told you this already, but did you ever see Dark Phoenix? I think it was called.
No,
I know. It was so bad that I didn't watch it.
Well, this happened to me, as you guys know. I told you a story like this before, which Paul, you were involved in, but I went to Montreal for almost a week and shot Dark Phoenix. And I was the last person to speak in the movie. I was setting up the next movie in it, or the next sequel for it. I got to spend 2 days with Michael Fassbender hanging out and talking. Wow. It was amazing.
Cool.
And the best I can find out is that when the screening went to screenings, they said this is exactly the same ending as some other major superhero movie that was out at the same time. I read about it. So they completely rewrote and reshot the ending.
Oh,
and
no.
I wasn't in it. But
Oh no!
2 days on set with shooting this thing. I'll never forget, because everybody was super nice, but the budget that I saw on this film, I just you could run a country on this budget. I could not believe the sets. It was just a different level of world. But yeah, I didn't make it again. Wow. That's my story.
Wow. And as you guys know, we have always some behind the scenes pictures that Joe gives us, and while I put those up, Joe, do you want to take this question real quick? MCU, what's your favorite MCU movie?
I want to say it's three-way tie between Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, and Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, wow.
Really, Ragnarok?
I love Ragnarok. All the other Thor movies were fine. I just thought it was, I like, they all have the same, all three of those movies have the same thing going for it, a sense of humor, which, sadly is lacking in many other superhero movies.
That's interesting.
And a skull to Loki.
Hey, Loki.
Thank you, Loki, for the support.
That is my
brother. Friend. Yes. We do have a stellar panel, and thank you for the stellar panel for joining us. It's such an honor. Thank you, Loki. Thank you, my friend. And go Loki. You have a wrench. Please go ahead and put in your channel. Everybody, make sure you're a sub to Loki's Mornings of Mischief. Yes, And of course, we were talking about indirectly speaking about Loki.
So funny that you brought up Thor and then Loki.
I think that's what set him off.
That's funny.
Thank you, Loki. Let me make sure.
Okay. There's one in there that I'm totally looking like a director. I guess them all.
Well, this is you're looking here. You guys are pretending to discuss the scene.
Well, I was like, you're holding.
Pretending to.
Yes, pretend to hold this.
And again, we have just a look at the detail.
On our ship.
If you guys ever build this again, Joe, you got to turn it into a hotel.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
Oh man, if you ever build it again, I need to come on set and visit you.
You could.
I definitely
There's
want
always,
to. And be an extra. And be an extra.
All right.
They won't call it the Nina Infinity, though.
I know they won't. That's his other movie. That's his next sci-fi.
This is you
As
giving,
an editor, having opportunities to have conversations with actors, it's one of the greatest parts about being a director is talking through sort of the construction of sequences and where the characters are going. It's such a joy, and it's funny that you have a picture like that because again, there's moments where I could easily just pinch myself for saying it's just so much fun. It's almost illegal that I'm getting paid for it.
That's awesome.
That's
I love
great.
hearing something like that because it just goes to show how much you love your job and what you're doing, and it shows. It shows.
On set again. So Time Prophet asks, has anyone ever tripped over on the Raza because it's pretty dark in parts of the ship? To tell you that there was a producer on the show who actually never had been to set, and it was season 3, and he was like, can I go visit set? I'm like, sure, come on down to set. And so we went down to set, and we were cutting through the bridge, and they're kind of the walls on the bridge kind of slat in, and then beyond it is kind of like the star field, and it was so dark. He was just kind of walking along, and he walked off the stage and kind of landed very painfully on his hip. Man. And just crashed, and everybody turned around. It was horrifying for him. I think he ended up walking it off, but I think he injured his pride more than anything. The fact that he was so embarrassed because he was so worried about going on set and potentially, drawing attention to himself, and he did it in spectacular fashion.
Wow. I'm so glad that I wasn't there because I would be laughing. I laugh when people fall. That's really bad.
And Rapunzel, I saw your comment. I was going to put it up. I don't see it right now. Oh yeah, just buy a big piece of property and build it there, Joe. Maybe the fans have to do it. What, do you guys know about that? The guys in New York, upstate New York, who just built the Enterprise set.
How much did it
Joe,
cost?
do you have any pieces of the set? Did you keep anything like logos or doors or anything?
Yeah, I've got logos. I got actually the set designs. I've got costumes. I got all of the androids outfits. I've got the guns. I've got a bunch of the props. So I'm ready to go. If whenever Netflix gives the okay, we're ready to roll into season 4.
Come on, Netflix.
Yeah.
And Joe, Nate Knows Reviews has been turned on to Stargate from watching our Dark Matter cast.
Glad you're loving it. The android enjoying a cup of coffee or potentially hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate, yeah.
Yeah, hot chocolate. Yeah.
Hot chocolate. Are we gonna meet her, Joe? Is she gonna?
Her and Melissa have been kind of harder to pin down just because of their schedules. So I'm hoping that I'll get them to come on before the end of our run here.
Yay!
Yeah.
Have you had Roger on?
Yeah, actually, he was our first guest.
I'm amazed that you could get him. He's
Yes.
the busiest guy on earth.
He is. He is. But he was in town, and it was just before I think he was going to start production on Coroner, and he offered, and I was like, yes, please. And so we've had him, we've had Anthony, we've had Alex, we've had Jodelle. Jodelle was a little harder to pin down, but we finally got her. And then various guest stars and directors. And
Are those like fairy lights?
Probably.
They're like you can dim them and they actually change color. You can change color like diode.
Oh, cool.
I forget what they called them, but it was a very delicate prop.
Mm.
It looked like it would have been uncomfortable where your head met the table where that back piece was on.
That was a lot of discussion about that because he would have to lie down, so he kind of had to keep the back of his head up a little bit sometimes, but not too high. So, yeah, because if he laid down, and the thing would kind of like pop off his head. So,
there you are.
yeah.
Hard at work.
Kind of a
relaxed
directing right there. Yeah.
I want a hamburger this big.
Yeah.
And that's the POV shot. Like I just was trying to show them what the camera was going to be. It was very relaxing.
Trying to see who I recognize there.
Did you take that picture, Joe?
Yes, I did.
Again, POV, looking right down the lens. It was,
I gotta hand it to you actors with the camera right in your face. That just to be able to do that without wincing or pulling back or making silly faces, I couldn't do it.
There's something really bizarre. I always say this. Just shooting something recently where it was literally in your face. And it's amazing when you're so in the moment, you don't even notice all this stuff. Like that's what killed me that time when I was screwing up because I was sick. I'm actually seeing all the crew and the people, in the darkness moving towards you and that. It was an awful feeling because when things are working, you don't notice anybody. You just notice your people in your scene.
And that's Craig there. He's the director of photography. Great guy, great collaborator. Always came up with amazing ideas and just made things look amazing. Like, I mean, again, being in the cutting room, I get to see it all on camera, on screen. But when you're standing there and it's, the lights are here and they have to fly a piece of the wall away to put a light in and stuff like that. But it always comes together. I've been doing this for 30 years and it still is magic to me.
Where did you guys meet, Paul and Joe?
In the editing room, was it?
Yeah. I don't know if I ever met you because, I think we told the story the last time I was on. I was on Lost Girl, which was a Prodigy Pictures, Jay Firestone, and I think I was sort of thrust upon Joe as being the editor because of my relationship. I did 5 seasons of Lost Girl, and I think, it was Mike Banis. Again, your relationship with Mike that I think put you at ease of who I was.
Well, in all honesty, I didn't know any editors in Toronto, so it wasn't as if Jay was like, "You have to use this guy," and I was like, "Oh no." Obviously Jay recommended you, but Mike Banis, who was an editor on Stargate and went on to do Blind Spot and a bunch of stuff, he actually spoke very highly of you. So we
worked on Dead Like Me together, and just been in contact ever since. Like every time I was in Vancouver, I would always go out with him and his wife and stuff like that. But even when I was in LA in 2019, I met up with him. So he's a great guy. Great guy.
This language, I'm trying to remember, is it based on anything?
No.
Just really fancy looking.
Gibberish.
Yeah.
The writing is nothing then. Right?
Look at that. I actually had this commendation as well.
So that writing is nothing, right, Joe?
I don't believe it is anything. That was Roxanne Boris, our assistant art department.
It's very bad language in some other language.
Yeah,
We don't
you
read.
imagine?
It's an
Yeah.
inside joke.
If you hold it up to a mirror, it says, "Help me! I'm being held prisoner."
Message from Roxanne back then.
I'm being held prisoner in the art department.
That happened actually. I forget the production, but it was somebody that was speaking Persian said like just awful stuff, and it got away with it. It got on air.
Apparently, they used to do that in the old Batman series. They used
Really?
to name people after, sort of naughty foreign words, and then the network caught on.
So good. I love that stuff.
Joe, how many people could the Raza hold if they have?
I don't think it's bigger than the Enterprise. I don't know. We've always kept it kind of nebulous in terms of sort of how many it could crew. But I would say 7 to 10 is a perfect number.
It's good to write for 7 or 10.
Yes. Yeah.
To me, it was never a big ship. It was like this
Yeah.
fast,
Little bulldog. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Millennium Falcon.
No.
And of course, we did ask like 2 weeks ago. We did ask Joe for Time Prophet was asking about the bridge, if it was a picture of the bridge and of the Raza, and yeah.
Oddly enough, when my kids, I think I mentioned at the beginning that both my kids are watching Dark Matter now, but at the time, which was 5 years ago now, they were much younger, and I took them to set. I don't know if you knew this, Joe, but I walked them all through the set, so I have a really great photo of the two of them sitting on the bridge. Yeah, and they just were like, "But it looks so cheap." Like sitting there, like the thing works, and it was dusty, and I think we had an industrial light lighting it up, and it was just kind of like, this was what it looks like when they plug it all in and all the magic.
It was the same thing on Stargate. Whenever people would walk the set, they'd be like, "This." I mean, like there was General Hammond's the conference table. It would look so beautiful and lacquered on camera, and then when you'd actually go and visit it, there would be chips and pieces kind of missing, and the magic of lighting.
Wow.
So now, Jeff, is there anything that you're working on right now that you want to share with us, with the audience?
I can't talk about the one thing, unfortunately. That's the worst of things now. It's everybody's so secretive. It's a video game, but I just finished a movie called Deadly Divorce Party that should be coming out hopefully soon. I'm really excited about that. It's a great role for me. I don't know how to say much about it without giving things away, but yeah, it's a good role. That and narrating a couple of TV shows right now. One's on the Weather Channel in the States right now. Deepwater Salvage, really cool show. And there's another one called Secrets in the Ice, which is our second season. I'm doing that one. It's right up my alley. It's, about finding everything from diseases locked in the ice to, treasures to missing airplanes, whatever. It's really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Deadly Divorce Party because it sounds funny.
Yeah. It's that network has a thing about these funny names. I think I said the last time it was like, what was it? Mummy's Little Princess, which doesn't explain the movie at all, but it sounds like the worst name in the world. And the movie was actually really good, but I don't know. Would you watch it if it was just, it was like Mummy's Little Princess?
That's cool.
Joe,
I'm going to definitely watch this.
Real quick, did you have what kind of input did you have on the design of the Raza?
Me?
I'll answer first, and then Jeff can follow up. I mean, it was scripted in terms of sort of what what it was described as. Like I mentioned, kind of a bulldog. I wanted it to be kind of more kind of a rough and tumble, a ship that had been presumably stolen and retrofitted to a certain extent, and then really there were pretty general guidelines, and then Ian Brock went ahead and started designing, and he's the one who came up with the idea for like the the almost kind of like French window front of the bridge. And I mean, there was one. He actually had in the original design there was like a couch right in front of that window, and I was like, I don't know, I want a couch on the bridge, and so we took the couch out and we moved stuff forward. And so, I mean, it really was Ian Brock's, design. I basically offered the occasional direction and suggested for tweaks, and I'm sure the same, Jade Firestone did the same, and but really, kudos to Ian Brock for coming up with a look at that bridge and the ship in general.
And forgive me for taking the Jeff and Joe. Forgive me for taking the conversation back to the Raza. It's just that we have like 3 or 4 people in the chat who are they're on a fan level. They're working on 3D animation of the Raza.
Ah, cool. So I think I uploaded a bunch of the Raza sort of VFX kind of like models at some point. Anyways, like the version that you kind of popped up there was
you uploaded them to your blog, Joe?
To my blog or Twitter at some point. If you could do like a search for Raza, my Baron Destructo and Raza, it'll probably pop up eventually.
I will do that afterwards. Yeah.
Someone should do a Minecraft version.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Paul, is there anything you want to share with what you may have on the horizon?
I just wrapped on season 2 of Another Life, which is a Netflix series with Katie Sackhoff. I don't know when it's coming out, but I just did a bunch of episodes. It was, in my mind, the longest running season because I started it in March of 2020. So we started cutting it, and then we got shut down, and then didn't do anything for a long time, and then we had to experiment in August or September with all the different remote options for cutting remotely from home. And then we went back to camera in September and just wrapped up now. So, and I've got nothing on the horizon, so I'm available.
Awesome. I want to thank you both for being here. It's been such an honor to have you both back. And there were some people asking about Mark. Mark was going to join us, but he could not at the very last minute. We'll see if he joins us another day. Joe, any final words?
Nope. Great episode. Oh, there's Mark's book. Actually, I own a copy of that book as well. I didn't realize that he had written it.
So do I. I didn't know he. I was looking forward to meeting him.
Do you want to put that up again, Jeff?
Yeah. This is I keep this in my living room. It's there all the time.
Yeah. I have actually. I think the first edition.
He got
it's the second edition. Yeah. Martin Sloan, by the way, is a Twilight Zone character, so that's why I had to put it up there.
He got Mark. Apparently, Rod Serling had donated like hundreds of hours of voice recordings to a university and kind of just disappeared. And somehow it ended up back in his hands, in Mark's hands.
Oh, really?
And he's going to do something. He's going to do something with those recordings and maybe some new Twilight Zone or something. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. But I'm sorry, Joe. What was any final words?
I mean, great episode. Kudos to Paul Day. His second directing assignment, and he hits out of the park yet again. Kudos to Jeff TERAVAINEN, one of my favorite actors, which is why I work with him again on Utopia Falls. In fact, actually, I remember we got the auditions for the character of Gerald, and I was like, where's Jeff TERAVAINEN? And, I specifically asked for Jeff to get Jeff on tape. And of course, we did, and he did, and nailed it as he always does. So, thank you to Jeff. Thank you to Paul. And thank you to the panel. As always, thank you to the fans for tuning in. And next week, it's going to be the throwdown you've all been waiting for, 2 versus Ryo Ishida. Hot chocolate.
Paul, it was very nice to meet you.
It was nice meeting everyone. And again, thanks for inviting me back to this. It's so much fun. I mean, I could talk about this for days and days and days. So a pleasure to be here. And Jeff, next time I'm walking my dog, we should do a socially distant hello.
There's where the bad houses are. There's bad houses in the woods. I'm there every day.
I wanna thank you all again. Reminder: Nina's going to be on in a little while on Midnight's Edge, so don't forget to catch that. Thank you, Dee Dee Myers, Galinda, Nate, El Emilio, Tian Telly with Maria and John, Luis Sparrow, Sarah Jett, Colin, John, Jeff, everybody who's Pflugerville, Larry, everybody who's been in here. There's been a lot of people in and out tonight. Thank you so much, and be safe. And we will be back next week with episode 8 of season 3.